Welcome. This is Chip Roasting.
I'm Wally.
I am somebody. I'm Brennan. I'm not Brennan. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. We're roasting some chips.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. I don't know if it caught the first one.
Probably didn't.
No, it didn't? Okay,
I don't
cool.
know.
Well, then I said welcome once. Well, I've said it twice now. Welcome.
It's
Third
been a
time's
month.
charm. It has
About.
been 1 month.
Thereabouts.
Exactly.
I don't know. I feel like this is the closest, and I said this earlier. I feel like this is the closest we've done episodes to each other this year because we've been running around like chickens with our heads cut off, with jobs and adulting and such. I don't know. It feels weird.
We are really letting our podcast viewers down here. That's
I
all
know.
I gotta say.
Sorry, man.
Matt, I'd like to personally apologize. Trying to get some more content for you here.
Yeah, we're gonna try. We're gonna try. I feel like
Mhm.
this is gonna be a long one tonight. We
I don't
have,
know, because I mean, we got some news, and then we have Ahsoka to talk about,
and then we
which I'm
have
sure we
one
will talk about
episode of
that for a
Loki,
long time,
maybe.
and then Loki. But we've had more content than that before, and that's been wrapped up kind of
That's
quick. So it
fair.
kind of just depends on how
I don't know.
much we talk about Ahsoka.
I have 6 books sitting here, ready to talk about all of them
Mm-hmm.
in the name of Ahsoka. So it may be a while. um,
So sweet, kicking off with news before we get into all that
yeah, yeah.
hot gossip of Ahsoka here.
Well, first
We
off, the writer's strike
Yeah.
over,
Yes,
so that's
they got
big.
exactly what they were asking for after months of the studio saying that's impossible. These studios were like, "Oh, what's this? It's possible now. Awesome." So, yeah,
I-
I'm so thrilled for them. The
Yeah.
actors are the next ones to hopefully have a deal drawn up for them. So,
Oh wait, so like
hope
they're only the writers are off strike. The actors are still on
yes.
strike. Oh, okay.
Yep,
I thought
yep,
the
yep.
actors went on strike to be like in solidarity with the writers, but they also had their complaints as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was telling those lines because with the like I know one of the big concerns for the writers was AI being
hmm
used on scripts and everything, but for actors there was a similar kind of concern as
Their
well with
likeness, right?
the yeah, with
Yeah.
they would make scans of their bodies and then use them as extras in other projects that the actors themselves weren't directly involved in. So there's
Gotcha.
a bunch of kind of dodgy choices the studios were making there. So hopefully the actors can get a same kind of a deal cut for them.
Sure.
And then with
Then we'll be rocking and rolling again.
yep, with benefits uplifted all across the board here, we can get back to some fantastic content in Hollywood here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they just like the stuff that they have coming out, if they're gonna distribute it over time more so that it fills in the gaps. Because otherwise, there's gonna be a big gap of time, probably I don't know, like 6, 7 months. But it's not gonna be all that much coming out,
Yeah.
other than the stuff that people were working on who didn't go on strike, whether because it's in their contract, whether they weren't part of the union or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and we'll also have some stuff that was supposed to release during the strike, but they wanted to hold off on it
Oh, that's
so
true.
the actors could promote it here. So it'll probably be like a little bit of a lull here, but for
Mhm.
movies, it really shouldn't be anything too noticeable. I
Mhm.
don't know what the scope of television will look like
Yeah, I
though.
think fall TV is gonna be a little weird this year, other than maybe animated stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
perhaps.
if anything, it might be delayed a couple months. But I don't
Yeah.
watch anything on TV right now because if I did, it'd get canceled. So
Yeah, right.
I have a really bad track record of that. My most recent casualty was the show Dollface on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
Or yeah, Dollface. Yeah, I really like that show. And then 2 seasons of it came out, and then it got canceled. And I'm
Mm,
gonna blame myself for that.
yeah, as you should.
Speaking of TV and
Speaking of
streaming
it,
and
mhm.
Disney,
Wait a minute. Are you the reason for the most part we've only gotten one season of every MCU Disney Plus show?
maybe. And the one I didn't like, actually, the two I didn't like, Andor, Loki, both have season twos.
Yep. The curse holds up.
Yep. Um, Lando, starring
Yes.
Donald Glover, being changed from a TV series into a movie, which I think
Yeah.
is interesting. The movie is going to be
First,
called Community in Space. What? No, I'm kidding.
yeah. First, I don't know if we directly covered it on this podcast or not because it's been a kind of sporadic year, but it was confirmed recently that Lando was still happening after a huge stretch of like a bunch of Star Wars projects being up in the air and officially canceled versus implied cancel, et cetera, et cetera. It was confirmed a, like
yeah.
2 or 3 months ago or something that Lando is still in the works, and it was in the works as a series still, which was neat. But now confirmation that it's no longer a series; it's going to be a movie. So that's a very interesting change there. I kind of like it because Star Wars, they've been putting out some shows here recently, but we haven't gotten a Star Wars movie since episode 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. We've had a couple announcements, but nothing really been made yet.
Yeah,
know,
no.
and there's a variety of reasons, pandemic, hamdemic, all that kind of stuff. But still we've got nothing. So I think maybe if this accelerates the project a little bit more, gets to a place to where we'll get it sooner, fantastic. I'll take it.
Yeah,
really,
I did find it a little weird. I don't know if you saw this news, but Donald Glover was set to reprise his role from Solo, and he's no longer reprising the role. They recast him. It's now Mark Hamill who's playing Lando Calrissian. I think it's going to get a little confusing for general audiences, but there was an announcement. They decided they are sticking to that. So
that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting piece of news. I'm excited for it. I want a Star Wars movie. So if that makes it happen, awesome.
Yeah, and I really do feel that makes the most sense for the story they would be trying to tell there, or the character that they're focusing on. It's characters in the Mandalorian show. There's going to be more intrigues about them. It's make those shows because it started off in a show that makes sense. That's fine. But for a character introduced in a movie, make another movie, right? To me, that just makes the most sense here.
Andor.
Okay, well,
got him.
Great point. Great point.
Anyway,
characters can carry over. Characters can carry over. That's fine. He wasn't the main character of Rogue One. I'm just gonna drop it completely. I want to just slide something in there, but you want.
I you made such a great point, and then I'm just
called me out completely. Yeah, that's totally fair. You're 100% right.
Might as well stick to the Star Wars news. This happened a little bit later in the news line, but season 2 for Ahsoka is reportedly in talks, not being greenlit yet. We'll get to more about that later. I'm excited. I want more of it, which you'll find out a little bit later, regardless of the stack of books. I do want more of it. It was very good. Just
sweet.
So I'm happy that they're discussing it, because if this would be the second Star Wars show we've gotten so far, live action Star Wars show that we've gotten so far that had more than one season. So
yes,
that's very exciting. The most important piece. Okay, you know what? Let me go to the least important piece of news out of the way. This is DC news. James Gunn confirms Freddie Stroma will return as Vigilante in the DCU.
Yes, which
is from Suicide Squad.
No, not from Suicide Squad, just from Peacemaker, and I don't believe you've
I forgot about that show. Yeah, I have
Peacemaker
not
yet.
Because I don't have that subscription service.
I loved his character. He was a fantastic character, great actor to portray him. So I am very glad that was confirmed there. And I think he's the 4th actor / character James Gunn has confirmed is returning,
Hmm.
along with uh Peacemaker, Amanda Waller, and Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Blue Beetle. I want to see that. I haven't seen it yet. You said it was good, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
I mean, low
solid
bar for
movie.
DC, but
Yeah, I honestly, yeah, but it's definitely a movie that can stand on its own legs very well, which is not
oh good.
something you can say about a lot of the DC movies.
What? And this is we're gonna do our usual, just kind of go off on a tangent here. Who is someone that you would want them to keep in the DCU that was from the DCEU, but they've not like said anything about or anything like that, or they don't really plan on doing
Hmm.
anything with them? In particular, I was kind of pointing towards like Harley Quinn. I don't know if you want her to be around, but it'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I think that who plays her?
Um, Margot
Margot
Robbie.
Robbie. I
Mhm.
almost called her Charlize Theron. They are different people, famously. But they've never been in a movie together, so are they?
I don't actually know who you're talking about for the
Charlize
other
Theron? Oh, that's
person.
okay.
The name doesn't sound familiar.
That's okay. Um, Mark Hamill. I don't know if that helps.
I know who Mark Hamill is.
Yeah, that's who he plays her.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, then yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. Now I'm on board. Now I'm on the
Anyway,
same page.
Margot
So are
Robbie.
you
I think she's done a great job so far. So like, I don't
yeah.
know. I,
Okay, okay. Yeah, like her I would absolutely love to see her
Jared Leto, obviously.
carry over. She's because she's been Harley Quinn in like what, like three, four different movies
Um,
now.
I know certainly three. I don't know if she's in anything else. I know she's in both Suicide
Yeah,
Squads and then the Birds of
Birds
Prey.
of Prey. Yeah, it probably is only those three then, and all kind of unrelated for the most part. It seems there's nothing that directly ties them
Other than her, that is it.
together. Yeah, and for the most part, she knocks it out of the park in like all of
Yeah.
those. I do feel in like a lot of the DCEU, like all of like the background characters they cast are fantastic. Like not necessarily like the central focus of the movie, but like uh the supporting cast.
Hmm.
Um, what's a good example?
Weasel.
Okay, like yeah. No, not like that, but like for example, in like Shazam, for the most part, I loved the entire cast except for Z Zachary Levi
The main character.
specifically. Yeah, like the main character didn't like him, but like all the rest of the cast, I felt they were great. I know a lot of people. Who was one of the? I think it was Miss Marvel in the Shazam movie. There are a lot of people who want her to carry over. I would
Yeah, but
have
but
no
but
problems with that at
but
all.
there's I think they want her to carry over for very different reasons than you do.
Yeah, yeah. Um, people seem to like the character, whatever, for
Sure.
whatever
Sure.
reasons here. But yeah, uh, I don't know if there's like another like named superhero
I've
or
seen
super villain or whatever that I want to carry over.
yeah. I've seen so many thirst traps from Miss Mar for that character.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. So many. Um yeah, so I feel like and if you have a different opinion, please share it. But like
Mhm.
I feel like Margot Robbie kind of embodies Harley Quinn the way that Robert Downey Jr. embodied Iron Man, where it seems like no one
Interesting.
else can really play this character because this person did it so freaking well.
Okay.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel about Margot Robbie's uh,
Yeah.
Harley Quinn. I'm sure people have played it just as well, whether it be video games, um, you know, TV shows. Like, I mean, I love Kaylee
Mhm.
Cuoco's Harley Quinn too. I don't know. There's something about the way Margot Robbie's done it and like her voice acting. I'd love to just. It's like I'd love to see more of her and like maybe written differently. I mean,
Sure,
kind of
sure.
like the way she was written in Suicide Squad 2, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's probably the only one I'd carry over. Her
Ooh,
and
ooh,
Lex Luthor.
wait. I
I'm
have
kidding.
it just processed what you said. Yeah, not Lex Luthor. Let's recast
No,
him as soon as possible. Like the actor who portrays him,
Jesse
not
Eisenberg.
yeah, like not knocking his acting skills at all,
He's
but
great.
he
He was
he should
written
whoever
terrible.
casted him
Yeah.
should never have casted him as Lex Luthor. They should
No.
not have written Lex Luthor that way at all. Um, Probably the character I would love to see carried over the most now that I actually had time to think is uh Ratcatcher 2 from
Oh yeah.
Suicide Squad.
She was
I
phenomenal.
I loved Ratcatcher 2. Oh my god.
She was great. Yeah. That whole cast was really good.
Hmm.
I mean, and then what earlier when you had talked about like how like kind of like the not the main characters, like kind of like the side characters, kind of the background characters. I
Yeah.
mean, Peacemaker. That is a perfect example. I know
Yeah.
he was more of a main character than a side character, but like he wasn't the main point of that movie. When was he in one or two? Two.
Yeah.
But like he's like a beloved character now
Yeah, right?
from that TV show. They have a whole TV show about him and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean that just reinforces your point. And then Ratcatcher, same movie. So
Yep. Yep. Yep.
um
Yeah, like all the characters that would never have like a movie of their own were kind of just either part of an ensemble
mhm.
cast or in the background. I feel like DC hit their marks there a lot better than they did with their main cast a lot of times. And I think
Mhm.
it's I think it kind of has to do with how they decided to tell this like the stories
Yeah.
is just it just didn't work for me in the end. What can you do?
What about Robert Pattinson, Batman?
Ooh, like, see, I like his interpretation of Batman is probably one of my favorite ones that we've received recently here.
Mhm.
But I just don't see that working well right now in a broader interconnected universe.
I agree with you.
Like, yeah, like that's something where I feel like it very much needs to be kept kind of on
Just
its
Batman.
own, and
Yeah.
like there's no way to toss it into like a broader world if they ever wanted to tell like a broader, more interconnected story with that character. They would have to do it just right, otherwise you screw it all up.
Right. Yeah. I don't think he's like a Justice League Batman. I definitely think he's a Batman's Batman.
Hmm.
Like like you could tell
Absolutely.
a ton of great Batman stories with him, but that's about the extent as what I would want
Yeah.
from a Robert Pattinson
Yeah, yeah.
story, which I think is about all we're gonna get. I'm excited for the second one, if that ever comes out. But
Yes. Yeah, it is planning to be one of the things they
one of the
either
last
they've gone
things.
back to writing now, or if they're ready for the filming stage, then they're planning to film it as soon as the actors strike is over.
Yep. Yep.
That is one of their priorities
Mhm.
that I saw.
It's like
It
the
looks like
last
they can,
couple, right? This and Joker.
yeah, they I think confirmed that the villain for the Batman 2 is supposed to be a character called Hush, who I haven't
Oh,
heard
interesting.
of before, but there's been a lot of talk
We'll have to get RJ on to talk more about that at some
about
point.
it. Yeah, there was somebody who said like people who know him from places like other than the comics might be like, oh, he's just like how the Riddler was in the first Batman movie. So like, what's the
Mhm.
point? People who know him from the comics, they have a whole different interpretation of him there, or
Interesting.
perhaps vice versa. It seems like it's a character that's been done very differently depending on where you've seen them at.
Mhm.
So it'll be
Interesting.
interesting to see how the movie tackles them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now the most important piece of news. We got a trailer for the December 20th release.
Yes, we did.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which by the way, also another piece of news. Apparently a sixth book came out in the
Yep.
Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, like 2 weeks
Yep.
ago. I
It's
had
yeah.
no idea. It's called
Yeah,
the
like
Chalice of the Gods.
yep, it's not one that's like it's like it still has the Percy Jackson and the Olympians tag. It's like it's not like supposed to be like
A
necessarily
direct.
in yeah like in that series of five, but it is kind of like a standalone novel that has all of the same
Yeah.
cast of
And I think
characters,
it
and
I think it takes place in high school.
it takes place right after the following series of five books that came immediately after Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Yeah.
The Heroes of
Heroes. Oh, that's right.
Olympus series. It takes place right after that, and it's
Never
about
finished that.
him uh getting a college recommendation letter from the Greek gods. So it'll be a very interesting read. I'm hoping to get to it at some point here.
Yeah.
What I want to do is reread all the Percy Jackson
I was
books,
gonna do the same
but
thing. Yeah.
uh because of time, I started the first book a couple months back, and now I'm only on the first book still. So I'll get to it at some point here, but at the rate I'm going, it'll take a hot minute here. Oh,
Yeah.
but an interesting thing for that Percy Jackson spin-off book, there was another one announced that's going to be released next year.
Oh, that's
I don't
awesome.
think that has a date, but it's like he's continuing the story he started in that one, or it's
Yeah.
another like spin-off thing
Yeah. No,
coming out
it's
next year. So
from
that's
what the blurb
really
said,
great.
it's like he's got to like complete 3 tasks, and then the first one of those 3 tasks is getting the Chalice of the
Interesting.
Gods. So it looks like maybe we'll get like a trilogy here,
Okay,
kind of
okay,
round out the
interesting.
Percy Jackson story, which I'm really excited for.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll go back and grab the audiobooks for the first 5 and then the Heroes of
Very
Olympus
nice.
series and see if I can. I'll drive my
Very
way through them.
nice.
It may take a while, but
Yeah.
not nearly as long as you though.
Yeah, like it is going to be so weird to like watch the series because I'm
Yeah.
thinking that something that happened to me in Ahsoka will also happen to me with this live action show, and this might be a good kickoff point, or it might not. But just wanted to really quickly mention with episode 5 of Ahsoka, we got into a flashback scene of the Clone Wars, and it
Yep.
was shocking to me seeing Ahsoka as like an actual child
Yeah.
and being like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, in animation you don't really get that same vibe of seeing it in live action, being like, oh, this is a child soldier here. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm gonna get the same kind of vibe from Percy Jackson, where I'm reading and I'm like, oh yeah, it's it's like this, at least in my mind, like older teenager doing all this stuff and watching the show and be like, no, that's a 14-year-old
Yeah.
kid who's
Yeah.
going out and
And
doing all this nonsense.
yeah, I definitely want to. I definitely want to at least read the first book before that show comes out.
Mhm.
Kind of get refamiliar with the story. It's been a
Yeah.
long time. I think I read the series
Um,
in, like middle school.
I
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared this tweet with you or not, or if you saw this at all, but apparently the episode titles have been
Oh no, wait, yeah, no,
released
you didn't show me
for
that.
all 8 episodes. No,
No,
so
8.
it is neat. I'm pretty sure it was 8. Yeah.
Damn it, Disney! Stop. Give me 15 episodes.
But the cool thing with the episode titles is like I think if they're not exactly, they're at least very, very close to what the actual chapters were
Oh wow,
called
nice.
in like the books. And so I saw that and I was like, that is awesome. Because like you can kind of like read along almost with like what's
What's going on? Yeah,
going on. Yeah.
that's cool. Um, if it's taking you a while, by the way, to get
Mhm.
through the books, they have uh uh graphic novels for them.
Yeah. It's it's just about
It's just gonna take you way
time,
long. Yeah, it's gonna take you a long time anyway. Okay,
the time and concentration to sit down and not scroll through my phone.
dude, I know. I sat down yesterday, read 30 pages of the book I've been reading. And I was like,
Yeah.
felt good. But anyway,
Oh,
so with that, yeah, it was a good
mhm.
segue about
Perfect.
child soldiers.
Mhm.
So Ahsoka, where did we leave off? Did we leave off on episode 4 last?
Yep, we left off in episode 4 when Ahsoka was pushed off the edge of a mountain and died.
Yes.
Yep.
And then episode 5, which I watched night of.
Yeah.
Holy
Same.
shit, that was
Mhm.
that was an incredible episode, to say
Mhm.
the least.
Yes.
You You want to take over from here?
Sure, I absolutely can. So I actually have a little bit of a hot take with this episode.
Oh,
I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a good episode. And maybe
what?
just because of how much they had like hyped it up, I didn't like it as much. Like episode 4, I loved episode 4.
Mhm.
Episode 5, I thought was fine, but I would rank episode 4 higher.
Interesting. Interesting.
Mhm. Like, because it's just with the flashbacks, I was hoping for more with the flashbacks. I get it. It's like, a force vision type thing or
Sure.
whatever, and it's in war and there's a lot of dust, but it's like there was no background. It's like if I was going back to the Clone Wars, I want to see all the cool stuff and not just like, oh, cloudy background or whatever. We got live action Captain Rex, which was so cool. Actually, I guess it was Commander Rex at that
Maybe.
point
Yeah.
in time. But
Well,
like,
I would
it's
also
like
like to
take off your
say,
helmet because that would have been so dope if we saw him without his helmet, and we just
well, yeah,
didn't get that.
this is
That
really
kind
the
of
first time we've ever seen
bummed me
him in
out.
live action
Yeah.
because even if we saw him in the prequels, it was still animated.
Yeah, which I didn't realize until someone else pointed that out to me. They were like, "Oh yeah, there was no actual clone troopers in all
Nope.
of the prequels. They were all CGI." I was like, "That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why would they
Yeah.
do that?" But
Dude, George Lucas fucking loved CGI, dude. Like
it
he took
it
advantage of it.
like it did not hold up for everything in the
No.
prequels, but for the clones, it really did because I didn't realize there were CGI. Like someone had to point that out to me on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay."
It did not hold out on Coleman Trevor, though.
Who is that?
The dinosaur looking Jedi. Don't remember Coleman Trevor? That's
No.
okay. No worries.
But there's like I loved getting to see Anakin, getting to see Anakin's and Ahsoka's uh dynamic, her fighting back against the dark side. It one of the things that also kind of bugged me is during their entire conversation, I wanted them to explore more, and it felt like they were kind of just rehashing arcs that we already saw Ahsoka go through
Mhm.
in both Clone Wars and Rebels, and it kind of seemed like hey, ignore all of our great animation projects. We'll just kind of catch you up on all the character development here instead. And
Well,
I was like, you could have done a bit more with all of that.
see,
I would, uh-huh.
see, I would agree, but you have to remember a majority of this audience has not seen Clone Wars. Not a majority, but a lot of this audience has not seen Clone Wars and has not seen Rebels.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're trying to kind of balance it. And so, adding a little bit in there so that they're caught up to everything makes a little bit
Yeah.
of sense, even though it doesn't, from a story perspective, make all that much sense.
Yeah, like I got it, and it was kind of like like it was neat. I still like the episode as a whole. It just kind of felt like too much of a pause on the story itself. It kind of felt like they were pausing to give us a bunch of
Fan service.
fan service,
Yeah.
and like that was it. And I
That's
feel like
fine. I loved it.
I thought there were some cool directions they could have gone in for a lot of the scenes, but it was still neat. We got to see some more of Jason and
Mhm.
Chopper. A lot of that was neat. I did feel like they kind of like forced a lot of stuff on us there. Even Kanan, I was
Get it.
Yep. I was so looking forward to a Kanan name drop, but then the way they dropped his name, I felt was also kind of fan servicey, and I was like, give it to me more like natural here.
Yeah.
Like it just the whole vibe of the episode felt weird. But then after they saved her and they were like figuring out how to cross the galaxy and they got to like the Pergil thing, love that.
What? So something that I really liked from the flashbacks was we got to see someone we've not seen very much, and that's pre high ground Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Which is just Anakin with Sith eyes, but
Yeah. Oh,
that was
that
really,
whole
really
scene
awesome.
where he's walking forwards with the
The
lightsaber and like
lightning.
changes. It's like that was top tier like
Yeah.
effects for that.
It was awesome.
Oh, that was great.
And then to see
that was
Ahsoka with the Sith
phenomenal.
eyes, just
Yeah, yeah.
momentarily.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really awesome, and I know it did seem redundant in terms of character development, but it was really cool to see.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
Very cool effects. Loved how they were used. I just wish the story was there a little bit more for me. I wish it was exploring newer territory instead of like rehashing all the arcs that I had seen. That was the thing that kind of bugged me
yeah.
about it. But as a whole, still a fun episode. I definitely didn't not like this episode here, if that makes
No, yeah,
any
yeah.
kind of sense. It's just it's not the episode that I was hoping for specifically.
Right.
And
Right.
then the Purgils, I love that arc beat, but it felt like in the background the other Purgils that were flying around, they were like copied and pasted, where like they were all moving in the exact same way at like
Oh yeah.
the exact same time. And I was like, vary the animation just a little bit, please.
Mhm.
But when Ahsoka was like communicating, it reminded me of like Ezra from Rebels, and then when the mouth opened, I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. No complaints at all.
Yep.
And then the thing with like Hera being court-martialed, I didn't really agree with how they approached that either. But
It was stupid.
then I was thinking, because I was like, this sucks. I was thinking, well, wait a minute. What if this isn't like the New Republic being like incompetent? That's kind of how it's presented. It's like the New Republic just being like,
Well,
oh yeah, whatever.
it's the
What I
same way
kind of was
it's the
thinking,
same way they presented it in Mando season 3.
well, yeah, it kind of is. But what I'm specifically hoping that they did here, and even though they didn't how they confirm it at all, is I'm hoping it was like the first order kind of behind the scenes pulling the strings, or like the Imperial remnants or whatever
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
want to call, because they know that Hera is getting close. They know what's going on there. So if they're in any high positions of the New
Oh, interesting.
Republic, they're like, "Hey, get her out of there.
Yeah.
Court martial or whatever we need to stop this." So they're the ones who were pushing
Interesting.
all of that. And
Interesting.
that interpretation I love. That kind of shows like the dangers here, because the New Republic doesn't realize that's happening, but the Empire is like the one that's still in charge with all that.
Right.
They didn't really confirm that at all, which kind of bums me out. I can have that as my own little headcanon here. And like that's something that kind of helps flesh out the universe as a whole.
So there's a little bit more of that in the Bloodlines book.
Yeah.
The puppet master from in the shadows, and kind of also shows Leia's um kind of her dealings with becoming, or her dealings with the origins of the First Order, and what they're behind in politically,
Mhm.
um as well as kind of her finding of the, not the rebellion, the resistance,
Mhm.
the origins of the resistance. It's a really good book, highly recommend it. But it does
Great.
kind of expand upon that kind of but a storyline
Great.
like that a little bit. But yeah, that's an interesting tidbit,
Mhm.
an interesting theory. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Empire, it's they're this, or Star Wars doing a weird thing, like where it's just like they know people weren't happy with the prequels, so they're trying to like, or sorry, the sequels. And they're trying to kind of go through and like not justify, but like give a reason for why it is.
Yeah.
And while they're doing a decent job at it, they're kind of doing it in weird spots, and they're doing it weirdly.
Yeah.
Like during season 3 of Mando, where Mando wasn't in an episode.
I did not like season 3 of Mando.
And then here, where they're just like, oh, court martial, the person who's in charge of our military.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
weird, but
right.
okay, I guess.
But yeah, that's all my thoughts for episode 5. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
here.
Yep.
Any
Yeah.
other
So
thoughts that you have?
episode I'm good. I'm ready to
Okay.
talk about episode 6. Episode 6. I didn't. So a friend of mine at work watched it before I did.
Oh,
He's never seen Rebels.
oh yeah.
So he complained about how Sabine heavy it was. I was like, but yeah, it's kind of the point. It's Rebel 6,
Mhm.
Rebel season 5. But God, what happened in this episode? So
I love this
is this when they
episode.
arrived?
Yeah, like I will say I love this episode. This shot it right back up to like this top tier Star Wars content
Yep.
for me, which is kind of funny because with Star Wars they were like hyping up episode 5,
Yeah.
and probably two of my favorite episodes were 4 and 6, right on the other side of 5 here. My only complaint for this episode, well, I have two small complaints here. One, like I loved the episode, but it was kind of like, how are you calling this show Ahsoka here when Ahsoka
Yeah.
was in this episode for 1 minute and that was it? And I was like, for me, knowing that this is Rebels season 5, I was totally fine with it. But for casual viewers, and you've already kind of said something with your coworker, I was like, this is not what people are expecting in a show of Ahsoka here, not having Ahsoka at all.
Ahsoka most of the time.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's like the book that mentioned Boba Fett.
Yep. I was about to say the book
Exact same thing.
mentioned Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, it's called Ahsoka in parentheses and also Sabine.
Yep. But this is the one where they arrive at the planet. Sabine gets thrown in jail, basically, and then Thrawn's ship arrives, and oh my god, that ship looked incredible.
And I saw a meme because you know how like it went like there was that thing in the
Yep.
sky and it just came
I
over.
know exactly what you're talking about.
It's
I saw the meme like right after the episode aired, and then every other time in the show where they had that happen, I'm like, how did they do this and not realize what people were gonna say? How did they do this?
so good. It was so
Yeah.
I think I also saw it like right after the show. Like, oh my god, there's people are so freaking quick with it. But I mean, I was thinking the same exact thing.
Mhm.
Um,
But yeah, so let me just say, I loved seeing Thrawn in live action here. I thought in live action he looked
he looked really good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Like right of what I would imagine the character
He
from
sounded so
Rebels
good too.
as we saw him animated
Perfect.
10 years later, stranded on a planet or whatever. That looks exactly like he looked perfect.
Fantastic.
And like the voice was spot on, and like the
But
eyes and like the
yeah.
blue. I mean, he rocked that.
it was spot on. And like I said the same thing too. Like I love the voice. It's because that was the guy who played him in Rebels, which
Yep.
I wish they'd do that more. You know, where they
Yeah,
take
right?
the voice actor and make them the actor.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they don't do it all the time. But it was
Yeah,
the
like
perfect choice in this scenario.
yeah, because for like a lot of the time, like voice acting and actual acting are
Very different. Yep.
are two very different beasts, and there are so many actors who
Yeah.
cannot voice act to save their
Yep.
lives.
That's true.
And then for voice actors, actually being on camera can be
Terrible.
like a
Yeah.
whole different challenge here. So
Yeah.
we are really lucky that Thrawn was voiced by somebody who could play Thrawn on screen so well.
Yeah. And I think they'd probably do the same thing with Kanan with Freddie Prinze Jr. I would
Yeah.
think.
Except for the actor hating Star Wars completely.
Oh my god. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah, I would
I'm
love
sure
to
he got as
see-
much shit as what's his name did, Hayden Christensen.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
I
by the
have
way, this has
no
been the
idea at
year
all.
of Hayden Christensen.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm
Kenobi? Wait.
happy for him. Yeah, Kenobi.
No, Kenobi
Oh no,
was
okay, the last
year.
2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Last 2 years have been
Mhm.
Hayden Christensen's return to Star Wars, and it has been phenomenal.
But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, well, like because with Kanan, I would love to see him as like a forced ghost or whatever, making an appearance with
Yep.
Freddie Prinze Jr. I don't think we'll ever get that, unfortunately, but like that's totally fine. Like it was a
Man.
good end for the character in Rebels. I'm so okay with just having Rebels and having that be it for
Yep.
shows and stuff.
What was your initial reaction when you saw Enoch?
Um, my first reaction immediate was reaction was do not make that Ezra, please.
No, that was my reaction too. It was like, is that Ezra?
Yeah,
Actually,
I
my
was like,
first because relating to this, my first
uh,
thought was that it's Eli Vanto, who we'll get into who that is later, but he's from this book. That's why I thought it was at first. I'm like, oh my god, Eli Vanto, and they called him Enoch. I'm like, okay, well that's the stupidest
mhm,
freaking mask I've ever seen.
mhm.
What is
Yeah.
that? Like, what? I'm so confused by his helmet.
Honestly, I was very okay with it. Like Star Wars can get kind of old and like ooh, recycling the exact same
Yeah,
aesthetics over and over and over. When I saw that, I was like, hey, looks super weird, but it is
looks
such
so weird.
a it's such a unique look. I am more than okay with it
It's
here.
very Thrawn. It just makes
Yes.
sense for
Yep, yep, yep.
Thrawn's commanding officer to have.
Just the whole like everything that went in with Thrawn's entrance and like all of like the storm troopers and all that, you can see kind of some of the damage they've sustained here and like his relationship with like the Night Sisters or
That was
like
interesting.
uh whatever the term for them here is. I
That's just
I loved all of that. I only know Thrawn from Rebels, right? Like I haven't read the old trilogy or the new trilogies or anything like that. But
I wonder where I know Thrawn from.
from uh from me seeing him in Rebels here, seeing how he acted there, and seeing him in Ahsoka for not only this episode but also 7 and 8,
Uh-huh.
I thought this was a perfect continuation for him here. And I don't know if you'll share the same thoughts. I know you've read the books here, but I thoroughly enjoyed Thrawn the entire way through.
I did too, but it's not the Thrawn I wanted.
Okay.
Are we gonna get into
Okay.
this now, or should we wait?
Let's wait a
Okay.
little bit. Let's just talk about Sabine and what happened with her, and
Yeah.
then we can move into kind of just 7 and 8 lumped together here.
Yeah. So
Um,
she's essentially like she's brought to Thrawn. And
yes.
Thrawn obviously knows who she wants. She wants
hmm
Ezra.
hmm
And so I guess they knew where Ezra was, but like not exactly where he was. They knew what planet he was on.
No. Yeah, it didn't look like they knew where he was. They kind of knew where he had been previously. They were kind of
Yeah.
like passively uh keeping tabs on him.
Yeah.
Uh, so they were like, "Hey, you want him? Go find him." And they gave her all of her stuff back. They gave her a ride, and they sent her out.
Like a
And then
weird
Thrawn was
wolf
like,
dog horse thing.
"Yeah."
That
And
was
then Thrawn was like,
crazy.
"Okay, now she's sent out. She's gonna find Ezra Forrest here. Aelin and what's the Padawan's name?
I don't know. I was hoping you'd know. I forgot. It's a short
It's
name.
like yeah, like it's like Cherie or something like that, but not quite that. But yeah, Thrawn was like, "Wait, now you two go follow her. She'll lead you to Ezra. You like if she's able to find him, you kill them both so they can't stop us. Bada bing, bada boom.
Right.
Then they go off. Then Thrawn's like, oh, if they return, awesome. If not, that's fine. So I thought that was very good and strategic there for Thrawn. Like I was like, that's the kind of Thrawn
Shin
thinking I
Hati.
like to see. Shin.
Shin.
Shin, yes. Um, but yeah, so then they go off. Sabine, there's some conflict that happens along the way, but at the very end, she's able to find a little snail turtle thing,
I
which
love
was
those things. They're adorable.
fantastic.
Absolutely adorable creatures.
Um,
I love them very
and
much. We
then
must protect them at all costs.
yes, and then that little guy led Sabine to their village, and at their village, none other than Ezra himself.
Which, by the way, the actor who played Ezra embodied him beautifully.
Fantastic job. My only complaint, I did not like Ezra in episode 6. I didn't think his reaction made sense. Like, I get it. You're like a Jedi who's been like meditating for 10 years or whatever, but you've been literally isolated for 10 years. Now you see out of the blue, your closest friend from 10 years ago, and you're just kind of like, hey, sup? And it's like, no, you should be like freaking out right now. Like,
It's Ezra. He's trying to play it cool. It
happen.
makes so much sense. I don't know.
But like that, like I didn't vibe with that. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel with this live action interpretation of like Ezra here. So that's where it ended for me. But episodes 7 and 8, I'll go ahead and say it here. Loved Ezra. Loved that actor. It was perfect. Every single other scene that like Ezra was in, absolute perfection. I thought he did like just it was so good.
There
it was
9
so
episodes?
Good. There were 8.
There were 8. Oh, I thought there were 9.
That was episode 6. Now just 7 and 8 to talk about here.
7
and you can share all the thoughts you have about Thrawn now.
We'll wait to the end because there's
All
something
right,
in particular he said that really made me not like him. But
interesting.
So 7 and 8.
Yes.
Basically is them
Ahsoka
arriving,
finding Sabine.
finding Sabine through the Force, no less.
Yes.
Which is huge for Sabine in particular.
Yeah. Well, Sabine didn't necessarily do a lot of work in that. Sabine just kind of felt a Force presence.
Right.
And then Ezra was like,
seen that up until now, though. And from what what's his name said, the robot.
It requires like a connection between Master and Padawan.
Yep.
So
and it didn't seem like Sabine was good at anything Jedi related. So I think that was a big moment for Sabine and her training.
Yeah,
but
good for her. I did find it funny where immediately after it, like Ezra was like, "Oh, like what's going on? What do you feel?" And Sabine was like, "I don't know."
But basically found her. There's some fights.
Yeah. Oh,
that's just simplifying things, obviously.
Yeah. No, the whole fight with Sabine and Ezra against like the stormtroopers or whoever at that time, love that. That was where fantastic.
They got resurrected.
No. Talking about earlier when like Ezra and Sabine are like in the little turtle nail pods, and the first thing was great. I don't like that like levitation had the same kind of look as like it does in most of Star Wars, because it's like you're in a whole different galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aside from like the whales moving back and forth and like the Night Sisters or whatever, these galaxies don't interact whatsoever. How is the levitation tech exactly the same here? It's like I
assumed they had like they had one wheel that retracted.
No, it
was levitation. That is
yeah. I was like, I get it if like Thrawn's ship is there, then maybe blah 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 whatever happened. It's just like vary it up a bit, give it like a slightly
maybe
different
Ezra
look
taught
in
them.
like the very least. Yeah, but it just looks so like natural for all of them.
Yeah,
and it was like it's like just slightly, just a slight change for a different galaxy here in the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was great. That was a great fight scene. And then when
the fight scene where she tries to give him back the lightsaber, and he's like, it's yours now. And Sabine's like, no, take it here, because I know so many fans online were like, oh yeah, Ezra's gonna get his lightsaber back, and it's gonna be like whatever here. But then when Ezra was talking, he was like, no, like I really had that thing for like 2 years. You've had it for the past 10. It is yours now. What are you talking about? And then he just kicked butt with just the Force by itself for the most part, especially in that lightsaber fight where she tried to like Shen tried to like hit him with the lightsaber, and he was like Force holding. I was like, it's good to see more of that, because we really don't get to see a lot of that in like live action or animation like at all.
Yeah, that was really cool to see, just kind of like someone use a Force in a weapon. It's really the way going back to the High Republic, and prequel era Jedi, that's kind of how you're supposed to fight as a Jedi. You're not supposed to use your lightsaber.
Yeah, right.
Which I thought that was really cool. And
Mhm.
it showed that Ezra still, that did miss a step, even though he was gone
Yeah.
for 10 years. So
And it was such classic Ezra as well in just ways I can't even like explain here.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then Ahsoka returns. Palin just went off to do his to do his own thing, like completely. He was like, "Hey Shen, it's been real, it's been fun, but I'm heading out.
Deuces.
You do all of this." And Shen was
Which-
like, "Okay."
which by the way, we should mention that it's unfortunate that he has passed. He was
Oh, yeah.
absolutely incredible. What's it, Ray
Stevenson. I'm
Ray
pretty
Stevenson?
sure.
He was
Yeah.
incredible in this series.
I would
Absolutely
have
phenomenal. I love his
okay.
character.
Yeah, not to jump ahead here, but specifically with where they left off on episode 8.
There's so many theories. Oh my god.
Oh, I would have loved to see Ray Stevenson specifically continue this character into a season 2 if they have
Yeah.
one here, because just he did so well, and like knowing what he's kind of after now or looking after all of the rumors here, it would have been so great because like I don't know if like they could recast him and have another actor do this same justice here.
Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens from here.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple of different people that like different actors they've put in there. A few of them make sense, but I don't know.
I just don't think anyone could be able to do it quite the same way that he did. But yeah, he kind of goes off to do his own thing. Then Shen and all the stormtroopers lose because Ahsoka shows up. Thrawn pulls everyone out because he's like, well, they still don't have the time that they need, and that's kind of it, right? I don't think a whole lot of other stuff happens in that episode, right?
No, but here's the thing that set me off.
Yeah.
So at the end of the episode,
Mhm.
as first off, gigantic hyperspace ring that just attached to the
Well, to be fair, I think that's why they built a hyperspace ring of that size specifically.
No, I know. It's just weird to see.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, we
I
forget.
liked it.
Did you? I was paying attention clearly. Did you say that Ezra like left the Thrawn?
Huh?
Ezra left the Thrawn again, and left Ahsoka, and then
We're
on the
not
planet
at
alone.
that point yet, but yes.
Oh well. Well, that happened.
That happens in episode 8. And
I thought we were doing both at the same
last-
time.
Well, we kind of were, and then I kind of got to the end of 7, and then we just didn't continue talking about what happened next.
It was a great. I can't remember. I think this might have been episode 8, the beginning of episode 8.
Okay, well then we'll get into
No.
episode 8. Oh,
Beginning
okay.
of episode 8. Sorry.
Okay.
Clearly,
Okay.
I wasn't paying any attention to what you were saying. I was trying to figure out the fan theories for Balin. But
Okay, yeah.
did you notice when that one Night Sister, the one who became a Night Sister, like later on, who was in Mando season 2, that one?
Yes.
I don't remember her name.
Oh yeah, they did have a little bit of an arc with her. I think they gave her the
sword of
in
Mother
episode 7.
Talzin.
Yeah, that was from the Clone Wars, right?
From the Clone Wars, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh,
Yeah, that
she
was
had a
good.
sword?
That was
I had no clue she had a sword.
I would not have remembered had I not seen that Clone Wars episode kind of recently,
Okay.
where like I think she fights Mace Windu. I want to say,
Was it
with that
Windu
sword.
or was it? Oh no, you might be right.
I think it
It
was.
was it Dooku? Remember Duke? There's that arc where Dooku attacked the Night Sisters.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one recently, so I don't know if
Okay, then it might have been Windu. I mean, he both make
Okay.
sense. But anyway,
Well,
I
yeah,
thought
like
that was a neat Easter egg for
I-
Clone Wars fans.
I think the sword has multiple appearances. I can't quite remember.
I've seen Clone Wars once, so you could be right.
Hmm. All right, okay,
I've not
okay.
gone back and watched ever. So
Yeah,
remember I tried to
Clone
watch it in
Wars
order.
is yeah, Clone Wars is weird because especially because like the animation and quality of storytelling improved so significantly over the span of the series. Like just jumping from the last two seasons to like the first two, it's like night and day.
Yeah, it's weird, but I really need to go back and rewatch it. It's a really good show.
Yeah, it like honestly a lot of it really holds up.
Storytelling wise, yeah, oh, hell yeah.
Mhm.
Um, animation wise, maybe not, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Not everything holds up. Jimmy Neutron definitely does not hold up animation wise. That that's a painful show to watch, but I thought that was a neat Easter egg
Yeah.
for Clone Wars fans.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Mhm.
so episode 8, because I completely ignored you.
Yeah. Okay. So in episode 8, they're flying their ship or whatever towards Thrawn over the turtle things, which I also don't know why they were going so slow necessarily. They were kind of taking it easy. I can respect it. I feel like there's a slight time crunch.
It's like
But Ezra is building a new lightsaber, which I was like,
yes,
oh, that is so cool.
yeah, with an homage to
Uh,
his master.
yeah, because Kanan gets actually like name dropped and talked about here, and I love this so
Yeah,
much more than when it was name dropped
earlier.
earlier here. It was really cool, and the fact that like we got some more insight, even to just him building his lightsaber, and he chose like a really unique top part
Yeah,
for his lightsaber, and then Ezra can like gets like the last copy of that part here, and he makes a new one, and it's blue. It just like I just loved every moment of that scene. If I could get that scene framed, absolutely would in a heartbeat. I thought it was perfect.
yeah, that was a really
Um,
awesome scene.
and then you have like a conversation with Ahsoka and Sabine. I don't remember a lot of that actually, but then like Thrawn tries to have the ship blast out of the sky, and it works. And then they're like, "Uh oh, now we have a time crunch here," so they have to like go and charge the building while Yang has to rebuild the ship with all
Hu
the
Yang, is that how
snails.
you say it?
I think so. That's what
Okay.
I remember.
By the
Um,
way, like my favorite, probably one of my favorite characters in the entire show. He's
oh,
fantastic.
he was great because like I saw a tweet where I actually didn't really remember him from the Clone Wars,
Remember
but
him from
there,
the one arc, but
yeah, yeah, there were some people who were like, "Oh, when I saw that Hu Yang was going to be included here, I thought it was just going to be as like a one-off, almost like Easter egg type thing." But no, he was like a main character of the whole show,
yeah,
and he was fantastic.
phenomenal.
Like he was a really great character to include as like the core cast. I don't think a lot of it would have worked without him at all.
Yeah, and he provided like meaningful comedic relief. It wasn't just
Yes.
like Marvel where it's like, haha, joke,
Yeah.
right? No, it
Yep.
was like decent,
Um.
decent jokes, decent time, really good comedic timing.
So
But it was
yeah. So
also
that
very
was great.
serious at times. Yeah,
But yeah. So then, Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, they all charge the building here because air assault is out of the question.
Mhm.
So then Thrawn like starts to bomb them like walking up, but they're Jedi, so they still make it through, and they're able to
Sure.
open the door, and they're charging in, and then all of the stormtroopers are downstairs waiting for them.
And then naturally they defeat them.
Yes.
But the fun part, Thrawn was like, "Hey, Night Sisters, help her. Can you help a boy out?"
Hmm.
And they brought them back to life, or
Yeah.
somewhat. They
Yeah.
zombified them, which is an interesting kind of like it's an homage to one of the Legends books.
Yeah. That's what I saw, I think,
Yeah,
online when people were
I can't remember what
talking
the book's called, but
about it.
there's like a disease, like a virus that goes around, and like the
Mm.
terms. I think it's called Death Troopers, something
Yes.
like that. Yeah,
Yes.
it's yeah. There's a neat
Um,
little homage to that, but they handled it pretty well.
yeah. The only complaint that I've seen, and like I kind of get it because I kind of felt the same way. Is it takes even when it's just the storm troopers there, it takes Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine a while to get through all of them, and
Uh-huh.
even when they come back as zombies, it still takes them a while to even like cut through their armor, which is like it's supposed to be like crappy stormtrooper armor. They have lightsabers.
Yeah,
They're
but
all
it's
like
Thrawn.
highly
Would
trained. It does feel like that just drags out for a bit. There's some wonderful, wonderful choreography that I
Yeah.
really do appreciate in those scenes, but it does kind of feel like that's more of a challenge than it hypothetically should be. And for
Sure.
zombies, you really don't see them like losing heads and limbs and stuff as much as I would kind of expect them to when,
Sure.
now at the end when they're fighting the zombies up top at the very end, that has a lot more of like the zombie type aesthetic there. I just feel like it took them a while to kind of get up to that.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, so then
the thing I want to talk about, the
okay,
battle in this that I want to talk about is up
yes,
next,
okay,
where they fought the woman who got Mother Talzin's sword.
yes,
That was a phenomenal fight.
yeah, that I really really liked seeing it like for the first time. Absolutely love that. I've seen a lot of complaints actually from Star Wars fans about that fight, saying that
They
it
always have shit to
looked
complain about.
they were like it looked too choreographed. It never looked like they were trying to hit each other, just like hit each other's swords and like all that stuff. Which I don't know if that's true or not. I'd have to go back and rewatch it here, but that still doesn't take away from my own enjoyment of just seeing that scene for the
Yeah.
first time. I was like, oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
Because the
it
whole
was
time they were
awesome.
like, oh yeah, Ahsoka has this like heavy samurai aesthetic here, and like they had kind of touched on elements before, but it never really felt like a samurai show or whatever. But like that fight scene, I don't know, to me it just felt very samurai.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It was really really well choreographed. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I just like how everyone was just watching.
yeah,
All the super like,
yep, yep.
okay, well, whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then Ahsoka did win, I think.
Yeah,
She ended up go like putting her own sword through her, right?
I don't remember
I don't
actually.
remember how she died.
The only thing I remember from that fight scene, it just distracted me too much. But one of her two lightsabers gets cut in half.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which I was like, oh, okay,
That was
okay.
interesting too. Um,
Um, but yeah, so then while she's doing that, Ezra and Sabine are up top, and they have their own little fight scene with two of like the more highly trained, zombified stormtroopers.
yep.
And that fight scene also went hard.
Also
Um,
fantastic. Yeah.
but yes, Sabine, the coolest point is where Sabine, you kind of think, oh no, she's dead. There's no way she gets out of this. She actually is able to use the Force and get her lightsaber to her,
She
which,
grew a ton in this episode, in this
oh
season.
yeah,
I
100%.
really enjoyed that. I didn't think we'd get much out of her, to be honest. But she grew.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting seeing how she was able to like unlock the Force or use the Force. I'm not sure my total feelings on like the how completely yet, but it is so cool to see her be able to use it now,
Yeah.
especially because like she basically she uses it once to get her lightsaber and save her life, and then her and Ezra, walk up and they can no longer just hop over to the ship. And Sabine's like, "Oh, don't worry, Ezra. You jump, and I'll push you." Which one I love that was the move that Ezra and Kanan used to do like all the time. Like I just felt like a little bit of a just tug at my heartstrings there, where I was like,
Sure.
"That's what Ezra and Kanan used to do." But I also thought it was so funny and like such a Sabine thing to be like, "Oh, this new thing I just did. Just trust me, I got you. Just jump and risk your entire life here."
Trust me with your
Um,
life.
yeah, yeah,
Promise I
yeah.
won't let you down. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so Ezra's like, okay, and then he jumps over and she actually is able to, because like I was like, if she can't push him, that's just it. Ezra's dead. And I was like, Ezra, do not trust her. Ezra, do not jump. But it's just like, yeah, I'll do it. And he does it. And Sabine is able, like Sabine has like really good mastery of the Force for someone who like just was able to use it here. And is able to launch Ezra all the way up. Ezra has a
Yeah.
quick little fight with some storm troopers, and then he's up there, and then it's Sabine's turn. Oh no, that was it. Because Ahsoka and the person Ahsoka was fighting, they both come up to the top, I'm pretty sure, and they finish their fight scene there, and Sabine is like, oh, we'll go, no, we'll stay. And it looks like Sabine leaves, but no, Sabine is there to help out. And then together they defeat her.
That's right. That's right.
And then they jump, and then they can't make it there, but Hu Yang has the ship, and then they take off and they try to chase Thrawn, but of course he's in like Star Destroyer with the hyperspace ring, so they're not able to make it out. Thrawn calls the ship, gives a speech, and then they're gone.
And this is where I have the problem.
Okay.
What does Thrawn say at the right before he goes into hyperspace?
I would have liked to meet you, but I'm not going to now. You're going to be stranded here. Peace out. Something along those lines.
He said, "Long live the Empire."
He did say that.
That's where I have the problem. Here's where we get to the book.
Interesting.
So,
Also, one quick thing I'll add about this as well. Sure. When Thrawn is looking into Ahsoka and finds out Anakin Skywalker was her master,
that's right.
I love that whole scene. Thrawn genuinely looked kind of scared, like, oh no, what have I signed up for here?
Well, that part, you know how he knows?
Yes, I have seen people talk about it online that like Thrawn and Anakin got stranded on a planet before or something, and Anakin was terrifying.
It was Batu from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. They got stranded there.
Oh, okay.
But they also had a mission together when they were both in the Empire, and he figured out who Vader was.
Yes,
because of that.
I have also seen that. Oh, okay. Yeah?
So that's that.
Okay.
Remember I said Eli Vanto earlier? He's from this. But, so this whole trilogy right here, these are thick books. These are not tiny. Like, these are massive books. This is basically Thrawn's origin story, right? It's about the Chiss Empire, or the Chiss Ascendancy, rather. Hence, Thrawn Ascendancy, right? The whole point of this series was to tell why Thrawn ended up with the Empire.
Oh.
And at the end of this book, it is said that, let me see if I can even find it. It is said that Thrawn was so he basically committed war crimes. Or no, not war crimes. He like just didn't listen to his commanding officers in the Chiss Ascendancy Navy. Yeah. And so he got what's the word where you get sent somewhere and you're not allowed to come back?
Court-martialed?
No, well, kind of, but not really.
Not
abandoned. What's the word? I don't remember.
You just get sent somewhere else. Yeah, I'm not sure. Actually.
But anyway, let me read the epilogue, which also happens to be the prologue of this book. I'm going to read it since it's like a page. All beings begin their lives with hopes and aspirations. Among these aspirations is the desire that there will be a straight path to those goals. It is seldom so, perhaps never. Sometimes the turns are of one's own volition, as one's thoughts and goals change over time, but more often the turns are mandated by outside forces. It was so with me. The memory is vivid, unsullied by age. The 5 admirals raising their chairs as I'm escorted into the chamber. The decision of the ascendancy has been made, and they are here to deliver it. None of them happy with the decision. I can read in their faces. I can read that in their faces. But they are officers and servants of the Chiss. They will carry out their orders. Protocol. Oh, here's the word. Protocol alone demands that. The word is as I expected. Exile. The planet has already been chosen. The admirals will assemble the equipment necessary to ensure that solitude does not quickly become death from predators or the element. I am led away. Once again, my path is turned. Where it will lead me, I cannot say. So he was exiled, right, from the Chiss ascendancy. But so that's what they wanted their commanding officers to believe. But they had a plan. He knew of the Empire from Anakin Skywalker, or he knew what it was becoming. He kind of figured out that, hey, this is going to become an empire. And I think, yeah.
Okay.
And so he joined the empire so that the bad guys in this series are called the Grisk.
Mhm.
He knew that they were a bigger threat to the galaxy than the empire was. So he wanted to find a way to use the empire to defeat the Grisk. Right? That is his goal in the empire. Him saying
Interesting.
long live the empire makes no fucking sense.
Interesting.
That's not why he's there. He's not there to serve the empire. He's there to serve the
Okay.
Chiss. That's why I hate what they did.
Okay.
It makes absolutely no sense as to why he would even say that. And you can even, that goes even further, because as I previously mentioned, Eli Vanto at the end of it, I think it might have been this book, it might have been the beginning of this book, was sent to the Chiss Ascendancy, even though he was part of the Empire, so that he could help them defeat the Grisk. Even in this book, when he was in the Empire, which is why it's called treason,
Interesting.
he was trying to help the Chiss and not the Empire. He chose the Chiss over the Empire, which makes sense. You're always going to choose your own people, at least in space, over an Empire. So it doesn't make any sense as to why he would say "Long live the Empire" and try to continue the Empire. I saw a video earlier today that talked about what Timothy Zahn, the author of these books, would have done with Ezra and Thrawn had he had the chance. He would have done what he would have kind of made them like a reluctant friendship, reluctant friends. And he would have had Thrawn try to have Ezra help him with the Chiss and show him that the Grisks were a greater threat than the Empire was. Kind of the same way he did with Eli Vanto.
Okay.
I want that more than what I got. Now, that's not to say I hated. That's not to say that I don't like Thrawn in Ahsoka. He was great, fantastic. I just don't like the direction they took with Thrawn.
Yeah,
and they did the same thing in Rebels. It makes sense. Yeah. His continuation here makes sense from Rebels, right?
Yeah.
But from the books where he's based from, makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. And I know Timothy Zahn, or at least I thought I'd heard that Timothy Zahn was like a part of this show. But the way it ended, I don't think he was. So that's why, in short,
now I don't
like it.
Could we charitably view it as Thrawn saying, long live the Empire, not for himself, not because that's what he believes, but saying it as like a certain dig for Ahsoka instead?
Maybe. And maybe
would that help
to
with
satisfy the people around him in that ship? Possibly.
Interesting. Okay.
But
yeah, but that is interesting because like from me, I only know him from Rebels. For me, this was a great continuation of him from Rebels. I didn't know those parts of his backstory, so that does recontextualize a lot.
This entire series makes you like, these are different Thrawns. Now, I think if you go back and watch or read the original, like the 90s Thrawn trilogy, makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And they're really kind of, I think what they're doing is they're banking on people knowing that and Rebels, but not these, which is fine.
That's weird though.
But they've done that a bunch. They've overridden comics and they've overridden books. They've done that a bunch. It's annoying as someone who likes the comics and the books, but it's like there's a whole series called Kanan Jarrus.
Oh yeah,
where it's like his origins, like. And like, there's a whole scene where like his master gets killed, Master Balaba, and then in Bad Batch they completely steamrolled that. Like,
interesting.
Completely. So it's not the first time they've done that, and obviously these books are they're books. Like Lucasfilms, fucking Disney, they don't care. They don't care about these much. But someone who loves the books, I wish they did just a little bit. Now I'm hoping the big bads. No, it's not even set up that way. I was really hoping that the big bad, like when we did find Ezra, he was with Thrawn and they were trying to fight the Grisks, and they would have gotten Ahsoka in on doing it. But then the sequel trilogy would make no sense. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's It was not as long as a rant as I thought I was going to go on, but
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I get that
highly recommend these books.
completely.
These like incredible books. Like they're probably some of my favorite, especially these three.
Yeah, like it kind of sucks then because like what I assumed is that because there was the old Thrawn trilogy and when I heard that that like they had
Heir to the Empire. Yeah.
essentially redone the Thrawn trilogy for canon, and I heard that there were two Thrawn trilogies. I was like, okay, surely this must tie in so perfectly, so cleanly. Sounds like it does not do that at all, which is almost like,
No.
what's the point of redoing these trilogies if you're just going to ignore it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
The
But
it's interesting because the way Thrawn was introduced in like originally was he was this. This is what happened. He was Palpatine died and he was next. He was next in line. He was the heir to the Empire. Hence, I believe they
also,
even said that in the show.
yeah, no spoilers for the original trilogy directly because I am planning on reading that
I've
one.
never read it, so
Oh yeah, but just in case there are any facts or whatever, like oh yeah, Thrawn also dies by being tossed down a some kind of chute while shooting force lightning out of his fingers. Then um, but yeah, so just very interesting. So that's how Thrawn's arc kind of ends. That's the very last we see of Thrawn and Ahsoka. We see Ezra very briefly one more time. You see the ship land on the home one, and out of the ship, you see, like Hera's there and watching, and then out of the ship, a stormtrooper walks, and I was like, oh my god. I forgot that Ezra and Rebels would always dress up as stormtroopers. So he's like walks out and doesn't do anything, and I think Chopper immediately recognizes him, and he goes up, and then Ezra takes off his helmet. That's him, and Hera's there, and I really liked just that little brief look into a reunion that we got. I thought that was perfect. I thought Zeb would be there. Like I was kind of
Zeb was not in this show at all. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So weird to have him in Mando season 3 as like a cop of all things, and then not have him in Rebels at all. I thought it'd just be neat. Just toss him in with Hera. Him and Hera were catching up. Whatever. And then Ezra
literally doesn't
arrives
matter.
back.
Just put him there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, that was neat. And then it cuts back to the planet, and Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huyang are stranded on the planet again. You see very briefly. I didn't recognize who this was at first until Lauren was like, "That's the owl." But like,
yeah,
the bird lands on the rock. It's the owl that's watched after Ahsoka basically since she died in Clone Wars. Not to be confused with the time she died in Rebels. And yeah, so
or
the
time she died in her own show. Man, she dies a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
She's even got Maul
third time basically. Yeah. But then it cuts to Shen. She's just chilling out. She like goes back to the guys in red who I thought were there with like Thrawn kind of. I think they were just natives of the
natives. Yeah.
No, they were scavengers. Yeah. That's right. But then it cuts to Balin, and he sees like a
wait. Well, hold on. You missed
of fish.
You missed something.
What did I miss?
Who did Ahsoka? Who's watching Ahsoka?
The owl.
And
Anakin. Yeah. The thing that you had spoiled for you immediately after the episode aired before you had time to watch it.
Literally the first thing I saw, I was like, "Are you?" I was like,
yeah.
It's 10:02, guys. Just chill for 5
seconds.
It
was so funny to me that I Snapchatted you right after it was over, and I was like, "Hey, there's going to be spoilers immediately," and you were like, "Got it." And then you open up TikTok, and the very first thing you see is Anakin's Force Ghost.
I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
But yeah, so Anakin is looking after her here, but then it cuts to the Balin scroll. He sees like a beacon or whatever off in the distance, I think. But the more important thing is it cuts to 3 statues, one kind of destroyed, but 2 recognizable still. And it's the father and the son from Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and it looks like the daughter's statue as well. That's the one that's kind of destroyed.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't find it, but so people are saying that this beacon is something from Legends. I think it's from the I think it's called the new. I think it's from the new Jedi Academy series.
Interesting.
If I remember correctly, and I can't remember exactly what the theory is, but it's basically, this woman, she wanted to become stronger in something, and so she went to the father.
Oh yes.
The daughter.
I know.
Yeah, and
Exactly what you're
she
talking
gained the
about.
power, but she also turned hideous or something like that.
No, there's a character called the Mother, and I don't quite know how she ties into everything, but I do know that she was a uh mortal who didn't have the same
And she wanted
powers as the
yeah.
father, the daughter, and son. So she like either bathed in something or ate something that was supposed to kind of give her those powers, and it
Yeah.
kind of did, but it also made her like insane.
Yeah. So a lot of people are thinking that's what that light was. That's who Balin's trying to find.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Very interesting to see.
I like that they're bringing stuff in from Legends.
Yeah, like
It's awesome.
the way the character of Balin Scroll was portrayed, I would love to see him go through all of that. And I'm not sure if they're going to change the direction of season 2 now, if season 2 is made,
or if there is a direction at all. Yeah.
Yeah, like there definitely is something they're building up to. I hope there is. I hope they just didn't kind of end on that blindly.
The movie. The Dave Filoni movie. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have the movie, but I doubt the movie will tie into this planet specifically. If I had to guess, that'll be very much Thrawn and
it'll be a book, guaranteed.
Primary
Especially
Galaxy or whatever.
Since Ray Stevenson has since passed, it's gonna be a book.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a comic or something in that nature.
Yeah. Well, because like I think they will explore it in season 2. Still for season 2, I think they're done with Thrawn and Ezra completely. I think season 2, if it happens, will take place exclusively on this planet.
Interesting.
That's what my guess would be here.
Do you think season 4 of Mando involves Thrawn at all?
It's gotta, right? Like, there's no other reason that they had such a bad season 3.
Yeah.
If like they weren't gonna like tie it in with Thrawn. I don't think Mandalorian season 4 will have Din Djarin in it at all. Hot take. I feel like they're just like getting rid of him. I feel like it'll be called like Mandalorian, and then it'll just won't even deal with Mandalore. It'll be like Thrawn and Hera, and that's like it.
And Baby Yoda, of course.
Yeah. Grogu will just like stroll back in there. Okay, hot take here. Grogu will become Ezra's Padawan. And then Dave Filoni will pat himself on the back.
That's an interesting take. I wonder if Luke and Ezra meet at all.
Two quick things that I've just remembered here. Well, first off, when Thrawn had that reaction to learning that Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan, a lot of people online were like, "Wait till he gets back to like the main galaxy and learns who."
Oh yeah, I saw these names too.
Yeah, like who defeated the Empire single-handedly? Guess who he's the son of? And I was like, that is really funny. That's genuinely so funny to me. But then also with Ezra being back here, tying into like the Mandoverse or whatever, and probably eating Grogu at some point, since he's interacted with a Force ghost of Yoda at least once, there is an actual probability of somebody referring to Grogu as Baby Yoda now in canon. Which would also be such an Ezra thing to do, too.
It would be really funny.
But
Oh my god.
yep, I
Also, have
think
you seen
that's
all the Jabba the Hutt memes?
yes. Oh yes.
It's
I
so
love
fucking
it.
funny.
The very first one I saw was like the most earnest post on Reddit or somewhere like that of just some guy being like, why is Dave Filoni ignoring the canon? I thought Jabba the Hutt died in episode 6. Why would he bring him back? And I was like, what is going on? I just went through the comments and someone just pointed it out that that's the name that Ezra would always give. And I was like, that is the funniest thing possible. I love that. Just, and that someone would be so creative to make that earnest of a post that got so many confused reactions. I love that. I love that so much. And because there was that, and then I think the official Star Wars account
Yeah.
tweeted out like a meme related to that too. And I think they also tweeted out one about Ando Calrissian, because that's also how Ezra introduced himself
Yep.
during some of the episodes. So that was just phenomenal through and through.
Um. Oh god, I was gonna say something, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, so when Mando season 2 came out, and that's really what set this show up, was
Yes.
Mando season 2. You had not watched Rebels. How much do
No,
you
I hadn't.
how much do you think is lost on people who have not seen Rebels with the
Somewhere
show?
between 95 and 100%.
Okay.
I'm honestly not sure. I should ask my coworker who mentioned he had started to watch Ahsoka, who hadn't seen Rebels, if he watched all of it and what his thoughts were. I love this as a Rebels season 5. I
Yeah.
thought it was a
Yeah.
perfect Rebels season 5.
Mhm.
As a show, Ahsoka, I don't know. General audiences, I've seen this is kind of like I've seen a mostly negative reaction for it online, unfortunately, which I think
I have
sucks
seen just
because
the opposite, but I also follow like the
this
hardest of
is
core Star Wars fans. So
yeah. See, like I don't follow Star Wars, like I follow like casual Star Wars uh watchers, so I
all the
feel
people
like
I
that's why a
follow
lot of
have
it
all read these
isn't
books.
landing. Yep, that makes sense completely. But yeah, this is my second favorite live action Star Wars show. It goes Andor and Ahsoka, no question at all.
Interesting.
I don't quite know where the rankings currently fall underneath that. I feel like I have to separate uh Ando's
By
season
season.
1
Yeah.
and possibly 2 out from at least season 3,
Yeah.
because season 3 kind of really ruined the whole show for me here. But underneath that, it's kind of all like a mix here. But I thought Ahsoka was phenomenal, like
Yeah.
top tier Star Wars content in the scope of like really being intertwined with everything else here. But for casual Star Wars fans who haven't seen the animated stuff, I genuinely don't know how good of a show this is for them here.
Right.
Especially because it is so short. I feel like if I was a casual Star Wars fan, I'd be like, why did it end like that? I was just getting used to this Thrawn character, and now he's gone and they're stranded. Like, what's up with that? But the Star Wars fan that I am, oh,
I
second
loved it.
favorite Star Wars show easily.
I loved it. Yeah, I think I'm with you. It's probably my favorite. I mean, everyone knows I wasn't the biggest fan of Andor. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
I appreciate it for what it is, just not my type of show. I think Ahsoka's probably my favorite, and I mean, same with you. I'd probably have to separate Mando by season.
Yeah. Season 1 of Mando, I still think is top tier Star Wars content as a whole. I just hate
I
how
thought
it
season
ended
2
up.
was awesome. Season 2
Yeah,
is phenomenal too.
season 2 was good.
3 sucked.
I love 2 the way it ended off on. They really need to hit it hard with season 3 to continue, and they decided to hit it really hard off screen in a different show. And then when
that show wasn't even good.
And then when their opportunity was back on, they hit foul ball after foul ball after foul ball.
Well, they hit the first foul ball by even doing the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is really good.
See,
kind of don't really remember much of it, to be completely honest with you.
see, in Mandalorian first 2 seasons, home runs with this second one ending on like a questionable home run. It like needs a follow up to land. Then they left the baseball field, went to like a really beat up, not unmaintained soccer field, hit another home run there, came back to the baseball field and started playing like
Lacrosse.
golf or football or something else on there. It's like, wait, what's going on now? Because this isn't baseball. What's happening?
I like
But
how
yeah.
you of all people use the freaking sports analogy.
Oh,
For anyone who doesn't want, who's wondering, Brennan does not sports very much.
I wish I had that kind of knowledge or whatever. I just
Look,
could never get into sports.
I'm just glad you know what baseball is and that it's played
Yeah.
on a different surface than football. Though,
Mhm.
some New York teams and
Diamond.
some Los Angeles teams or California teams have played football on a baseball field.
Very interesting.
Um, it's weird.
But yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, there's just the other Star Wars shows.
yeah, Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett. I think this is the
Yeah.
only live action ones. The only other ones.
Oh, one of the things I will also say about Ahsoka is I feel like it started with like a lot of mystery regarding like the Thrawn arc. Like it starts off with Ahsoka going to grab the map, and it's like, how does Ahsoka know where the map is? Why is there a map that heads straight to Thrawn? What did that lady just tell her?
Mm-hmm.
Like all this stuff. But then by the end of the series, there really are answers to all the questions. Like the map that she found didn't lead to Thrawn. It just led to the planet that Thrawn was on because that's where the Night Sisters are from. The Night Sisters made the map in the new galaxy. Morgan knew where the map was because the Night Sisters on that planet had told her where it was in dreams. She passed it on to Ahsoka. Ahsoka found the map. They got the map back from Ahsoka. Like all of it makes sense once the season is over in a way that it never could while this season was ongoing. And I love that. I feel like not enough, like season 3 of Mando didn't have that at all. So yeah, I thought that was great. This is a show that I think is actually pretty watchable here. It helps
Yeah.
that it has eight episodes.
Uh,
Other
uh,
Star Wars shows I don't
mhm.
really view as that rewatchable. Mando's season 1 is.
Mm-hmm.
Mando's season 2 isn't as much for me because of how it ends and knowing they don't really go a solid direction
Mm-hmm.
with it, but it's still great. Book of Boba Fett is the most unbalanced
I will never
in
watch
terms of
that show
that
ever again. I will never.
kind of content.
If someone ever asks me to watch Star Wars all the way through and they want to include that, I will not watch it with them. I will not watch that show again. It was very bad. It's a waste of time.
Kenobi had some great moments in it, some
Not
fantastic
rewatchable though.
moments, but as a show as a whole, I don't think it has that
No.
rewatchable quality. I will rewatch clips from it, absolutely. But the show as a whole, no.
Two questions.
Yeah.
One, should this show have been called Ahsoka?
I would have been fine if they literally called it Rebels Season 5, just in the same Ahsoka font, just Rebels Season 5. But I do think Ahsoka is a fair kind of title for it here. It doesn't really fit all the way, but Ahsoka is the main character. She is a majority of the focus here. But for people who are like, oh yeah, I loved Ahsoka in Clone Wars, let me watch her here, they're gonna be so lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I wonder, I forgot what the second question was, but I wonder how watching this show would be if you watched this, if you were doing a binge watch session of Rebels and you put this on immediately after you finish season 4.
That would be interesting.
Be an interesting experience. Because then you're like, right, you're still in the same story. I wonder how it translates.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I want to give it a shot because I do want to rewatch Rebels as well.
Okay.
There's
Like,
more of a
it's
chance I rewatch Rebels than there is Clone Wars because it's shorter.
it'll especially be interesting because the epilogue doesn't really line up with the Ahsoka show either because they took some liberties there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they're close enough.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep. Okay.
So-
Anyway, that's all the thoughts I have here.
moving
All
forward,
positive. Yes.
moving forward,
Well, not all, but most. Yeah.
what do you expect out of Star Wars moving forward from what we have here?
It's been so inconsistent in quality. I have no idea.
No, not even quality wise, just
No.
like story wise.
But like, no, that's what I'm saying. It's because it's like the story in Mandalorian I hated. The story in Ahsoka I love. But they're obviously gonna put those two together, and right now
I don't know
it's
how,
like
to be honest.
it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. And I'm like, how this shouldn't have been this complicated here.
Mhm.
So I really have no idea what to expect. They could do a number of things, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes enough sense given the broader whatever here. I think I've seen that Mandalorian season 4 is in development, so I think that'll be the next Star Wars entry that we receive here in the Mandoverse. But I have no idea how they're gonna tie it all together at all, and I kind of hate what it turned into because I watched Mandalorian season 1 and 2 with my dad. He loved Mando. Season 1, in the very least. Season 2 lost him a bit with the tie-ins to other Star Wars properties. Season 3, I didn't even bother showing to him because it's like there's no way you're gonna be able to understand any of this with what they're doing here now. And I feel like Star Wars really humbled another sports metaphor. It's chance to bring Star Wars back to casual audiences here.
Right.
So I feel like whatever they do next, it'll involve a lot of homework. But I'll still watch it. I'm still kind of interested to see the direction all of this goes in. I'm hoping that they bring Luke, Leia, and Han kind of all back together for this here. I'm hoping that they recast the actors. Don't do this CGI zombie nightmare stuff you've been doing here with putting Mark Hamill's young face on an actor who looks exactly like Mark Hamill at that age. Just have the guy play Mark Hamill. That is it. It's Mark Hamill anyway. We all know it's still Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's playing everyone here. But just recast your core cast, bring them back into the story here, and do something with Heir to the Empire. It'll be great.
Right.
Heir to the Empire. Yep, that's all my
So-
thoughts.
I believe the next thing we're getting is Skeleton Crew. I believe.
But Skeleton Crew doesn't tie into the Mandoverse, right?
I don't know. So the article I just
Doesn't
looked
it
at
take
said
place-
it does, but it
Oh,
takes place around the same time.
oh, it does. Oh,
Yeah, it's just
oh, okay.
somewhere else. But I believe that's the next thing.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect from that. I think it's like January of next year.
Oh,
But
all right.
we,
Okay.
we have a decent amount
That's
of time
not too bad.
before the next Star
Yeah.
Wars project.
Hmm.
And with the writers getting back now, we'll see where
Yeah.
that lands us. But did you want to talk Loki season?
I
one, or
think
did you
this is a
wanna-
good place to wrap. Actually,
Okay.
I do have a
Okay.
lot of thoughts about Loki season 2 here so far, but I feel like that's best saved for
It's on
the
episode, yeah.
next podcast episode
I agree.
in
So-
5 weeks when we have all of Loki. I'm just kidding. Hopefully, it's not quite that far, but
Well,
we will
it's definitely
see.
not going to be a week. I will not be here next week. So,
Oh,
with that, Star Wars good.
yep.
Peace.
And we will resume the podcast when Wally returns from a different galaxy.
Yes, exactly.
In 10 years.
I lost the password to the chip roasting account, so there's no Instagram
fun.
anymore.
Oh, sad.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I'm Wolf. I am Wolf.
He is Wolf. I am not. We'll see you next time.
Entertainment. He is not Brennan.
No, I'm not.
Subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast. And peace.
Peace.
Out.